I took a look at what we had to read today, and I thought to myself, oh no, what am I going to talk about? It seemed like such a far-off concept to try to break down into everyday language. And I love how everything just works out in divine order. So welcome to Wednesday. And thank you to our practitioner, Denise Harmon, for breaking it down into those excerpts and the highlights of what I'm about to try to talk about and try to really frame in such a way that we can understand it in a bite size, if you will. I think it's one of my favorite things to do is to take these complicated ideas and then just kind of parlay them into everyday language. The thing with me is sometimes I can't find the everyday language in which to make these thoughts and these ideas and these concepts so simple. And yet, what I know is that in reading the science of mind, my mind feels like it expands, and then it feels like I know nothing. And I don't know if that's been your experience so far, day in and day out. What we have indeed been doing is reading the Science of Mind textbook, and our goal is to read it in a year by just kind of reading a couple of pages here and there and absorbing it and really understanding the thoughts and the ideas and the universal principles that Ernest Holmes spoke about and that he knew about and that he actually used in some of his lectures on Saturday nights and on, at different times. He didn't really use these lectures on a Sunday morning because he believed that these thoughts, these ideas, these concepts, these universal principles were so important that we can use them. And so he lectured on Saturday nights, so that this way people can go to their respective spiritual communities on Sundays. And he thought that these universal principles were so important that it would make Christians better Christians, Jews better Jews, Buddhists better Buddhists, because these universal principles apply to all. And so as we take a look at this idea of where do we get our mental impressions, it's important to know that lots of times we say things like, great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. And what do we really mean when we say that? What I really mean is that I was thinking about something and you were thinking about the same thing and it totally matched, or it matched in some variation of it. I might have seen it in a different color or a different shape, but it's the same idea. Great minds think alike. And the question comes up is there really minds, meaning multiple, plural, or is there one mind that we all access? And as we take a look in the Science of Mind book, Ernest Holmes is pointing us to the direction that there is one power, one presence, one mind. And that mind is the mind of God. And that it is operative in everything. Therefore, what is known here is known in South Africa. Therefore, what is known here is known in China. Therefore, what is known here is known in India. For there is one universal mind, something that is common to each and every one of us, and the infinite potential and possibility, the infinite life that is God, that everything is contained in that one mind. And that we can access it. We all have access to it, and it is what is common in each and every one of us. It is what joins us in this idea called unity. It is really knowing our oneness. In the reading that she read, when she talked a little bit about friends having the same idea and that it's just mental telepathy. there's this idea that we're constantly communicating. We're constantly sending thoughts, ideas back and forth to each other. And really what's happening is that we're really just entertaining that which is already contained in the mind of God, that which is already present. It's interesting because on page, I lost it again. There's this little dragonfly deal, and I think it keeps flying away from me. It's like a book holder. No, I have it right here. It's a good thing I know my Science of Mind book. I know where I'm reading from. Sometimes I just kind of put things in there, and it's just like, I already know what page it's on. Wait, am I right? No, I'm kidding. So on page 75, which is part of today's reading, it says, the paramount problem of philosophy now, as in the past, is how and from whence do we get our mental impressions? Where do we get our ideas? Pretty much. And, Sonny and I were talking in the car, and I was talking about the word impression. And impression, for me, is not just something that brushes over, but an impression is like an imprint. It leaves a mark. So where do we get these marks, these ideas that are like very profound, that are moving? Where do they come from? It's not just one of those thoughts that passes by like a cloud, but it's the ones that actually leave a mark. They leave an indentation. They're kind of the ones that say, pay attention to me, I'm important. Where do they come from? Where? Interesting. So we might get maybe some of these thoughts that have been maybe passed down through us from our parents. They may have said something over and over and over and over again. And now, as adults, we think these thoughts, they have made an impression on us, right? And maybe they got it from their parents and so forth and so on, right? Like I know one that my mom used to say all the time is money doesn't grow on trees. What do you think? I'm Rockefeller, or married to Rockefeller, right? So, that will like forever be in my erase. Right? Because it doesn't make sense, but it's something that's been there, right? That has made an imprint. And somehow or another, those imprints come from some misperceptions or some misbeliefs about who and what we are. And in the world of infinite possibilities, in infinite possibility, there is seeming duality, meaning there can be lack or abundance. You pick. That's where we get our opportunity to pick and choose what it is that we will continue to entertain. Because even though some of the stuff came from our parents or comes from the media or comes from our education or our school, it may have come from our experience, we have a choice as to which thoughts stay as imprints or impressions and which thoughts we allow to release and let them go upon their merry way. And we get to choose what it is that we want to really focus on and what we really, really want to know is the truth for and about ourselves. So further in the reading, it says, we are able to perceive an object because it awakens an intuitive perception within us. So I'm able to perceive an object because that object awakens an intuitive perception within me. That intuitive perception is within each and every one of us. Therefore, we're able to perceive an object because that object awakens this intuitive perception. However, here's the kicker. And I wrote it down with some crayon in the back. The object perceives awakens the intuitive perception within us, But that intuitive perception is that which created the object in the first place. I got totally confused. I was baffled. So I'm able to perceive an object because it awakens this intuitive perception within me, yet there is something within me, which is that intuitive perception, that is what created the object in the first place. Therefore, no wonder it awakens within me, because when I see that which has already been created, it resonates because we are one. Because we are part of this wholeness, this unity, because it is part of the I am presence, the one life that is God. So God is simply recognizing itself as the object that it has already created. And anytime we perceive an object, it awakens the I am presence within me that says, oh, look at me out there. That's me. That is the I am, because all there is the I am. So our impressions come from this one mind that is limitless. There is a plethora upon plethora multiplied by a plethora. There is unlimited ideas and potentiality that exists in the one mind. And that which impresses upon us are the things that we continue to entertain, or that we continue to see as, oh, that's me and my life. That is a reflection of my life. So the question then becomes, what is it that I'm entertaining, or what is it that I'm allowing to be impressed upon me, or how big or how small is my impression? What's my impression of myself? Because my impression of myself should match the impression of God, because it is one and the same. The object awakens something within me, but that something within me is what has already created the object in the first place. There is this oneness, this unity. This is what is common within each and every one of us. Therefore, the saying, great minds think alike. Because there is this one knowing that we just simply tap into. Consciously or unconsciously, it's constantly working. Just like when you think about calling your best friend and all of a sudden your cell phone rings and it's him or her calling you. You have simply just tapped into that one mind that said a phone call is due right about now. Or when you finish each other's sentences. Or when you say, hey, I had this great idea. And sometimes there are different ones of us. There are different individuals that hold various pieces to the grand scheme of manifestation. And I'll give you an example. How many of you are familiar with Dubai? Or maybe have seen the pictures and the aerial pictures of these man-made islands, right? Somebody thought that. I don't know what they were doing when they came up with that idea. But someone had the thought of, wow, what if we can have these man-made islands and actually have cities and buildings and all kinds of structure on these man-made islands, but design these man-made islands in such a way that when you see them from aerial photographs, they are these beautiful patterns and deliberate, beautiful, elaborate, lavish living quarters and business quarters, and just this divine beauty that can be seen not only from the ground, but can be seen from outer space, and that we can just like look at the beauty. Now, somebody had that idea, But they may not have known of how to drag the sand from under the ocean to a specific pod and then level it and compact it and make it so that it was sturdy enough to hold these giant buildings. Somebody else had that piece. The thing is that in the mind of one individual, the mind of God is individualized and universal, meaning that what is known here in my mind is also known in yours, because it's really not my mind and your mind. It's simply us tapping into the one power, the one presence, the one mind that is the mind of God. And that from there comes all source, all energy, all ideas, all objects, things that we have seen previously and things that are still yet to come because of the infinite possibility that is available to us. And so the question arises again is, what are you open and available to? In the world of infinite possibility, where there are no limitations, are we settling for the status quo? Are we settling for mediocrity? Are we just kind of moving along, doing what we do, because that's what we do until we die? Or are we open and receptive to a new impression, to a new idea, to a new way of being, to accepting the truth of the infinite possibility that is our very life? Because sky is not the limit unless we say it is. If we say it is, then we make it so. So am I just living my life as a minister, as a singer, or musician, a tap dancer, a plumber, an artist? Are we limiting ourselves to these titles and these roles because that is the impress that we've accepted out of infinite possibility? Or can we lay down the title and take on our true nature, which is Jody? Let me slow that down. G-O-D, G-O-D, G-O-D. That's who we are. That's who we are. If we want to take on a title, that is our title. That is our name. And we're part of that infinite possibility and potential. Am I open to not only expressing in this way as a great plumber, a great singer, a great tap dancer, a great preacher, a great teacher, a great fitness trainer, a great student, a great mom, a great dad, a great grandparent, whatever? Can we take that on and the fullness of who we really are and not just settle for that, but simply allow ourselves to be open and to be really in tune within the mind of God, open and receptive for another impression? Are we willing and ready right now to shed anything that is of limiting belief and simply be open to the truth of who we are, so that life itself, so that God itself, so that creative intelligence itself can impress upon us something so new and so spectacular that we look around going, did I think that? Was that me? Did that thought come through me? Did that song come through me? Did that idea come through me? Wow. I guess I finally know who I really am. Wow. Did that come through you? Amazing how you allow yourself to simply be open and receptive and allow these ideas to just simply flow through you that really benefit not just yourself, but humanity as a whole. I've been watching some of these new intelligence and all these new movies coming out on television and things like that, and I go, wow. I wonder what state or what kind of work the writers did to imagine like the future in 2046. And where we need to be, because sometimes we get so stuck in, I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow. Forget 2046. I'm just worried about how I'm going to pay the rent today. Or I'm just worried because this bill is coming up. Imagine if we allow ourselves to really be in this place of, all right, I'm going to sit in the stillness, sit in the silence. I'm going to be open to a new way of living, a new experience, a new way of life. I'm willing to know my life as a life of God in such a new and exciting way that anything that comes to mind that might be different from what I've done up until now, I am willing to entertain and to really look at. Sometimes we poo-poo on our ideas or those thoughts that come to mind that are actually great inventions, thoughts, ideas, ways of being that will simply usher us into our greatness. But because we've entertained the idea that it couldn't possibly come through me, after all, I only have a high school education, or it possibly couldn't come through me, after all, I'm only 12, or it possibly couldn't come through me, after all, at my age, there's nothing new under the sun. And yet it is coming through us, and we go poo-poo on that. Oh, it must be some ludicrous, crazy idea. But when we allow ourselves to really, really just be and be open and recognize that the mind and the thoughts that come through are the thoughts of God, because there is only God. And that when I entertain these thoughts and ideas, and when I simply allow the allness, the wonder, the power, the presence, the love, the abundance, the joy, the harmony, the peace, the power, the clarity that God is, when I allow it to simply roam free and me just latch on or simply connect to that one mind and be there and just be in that presence and that energetic, in that field of infinite possibility, that when I allow myself to simply be there and be open to feeling it and receiving from it, that it is actually in here, not out there. And so many times we go out seeking, it must be over there, it must be in this religious community, it must be in that one, it must be in this. And it's like, no, it's right where you are. It is common in each and every one of us. Why? Because we all live, move, and have our beingness in God. And God has its living and beingness in, through, and as us. So that commonality, that unity that is within us, that one mind that we have access to, is available to us even now. At any moment, we can simply surrender to it in our stillness and in our quiet, and allow the mental impressions to really impress upon us. What is for my highest good? Simply asking the questions like we did in visioning a few weeks ago. That when that becomes our practice, and we allow the energetic of the one mind to impress upon our hearts and our souls that which is for our highest and our best, and then are obedient to it, meaning we just say yes to it. Because we could say no, and frankly, a lot of us have said no to it. We've had those ideas, those thoughts. We've had that intuitive hit, that divine intuition that says, no, do this, beloved, go this way. And we go, but that's so unknown. I know the abuse. I know the mediocrity. I know the Sadness here, I'll stay over here. Many times we've already gotten that intuitive hit to go here, be here, know this. But we've settled for that because it's familiar. So we get to open ourselves up. We get to know that the impressions that we get are not some ludicrous craziness that happens, but we get to trust that there's one power, one life, one mind, that it is God, and that it is our life right now, and that the infinite intelligence that is God is available to us because we are one with it. I recognize the object because I am the creator of the object. That great I am presence that has created everything recognizes itself because it is the creative energetic that created it in the first place. I recognize you because I recognize the God within me. I am able to see God in me, therefore I see God in everyone. So we get to move away from the lies that we've been told. We get to move away from mediocrity. We get to move away from less than, average. And as a spiritual community now, we begin to really anchor in this truth that we have access to, and that the one mind lives within us. And the more and more I go within, I see the face of God as you, as you, as you, as everything. And that face of God is really the green light to go forth and experience freedom from all discord. So, that's my attempt of taking a complicated idea and bringing it to just kind of some everyday, basic thoughts that are digestible, that are usable, that are relatable. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to shut up. We're going to be quiet. And we're just going to take it in. And we're just going to be with it for a little bit. And we're going to see how that fits. And we're just simply going to allow that great I am presence to move within us and to allow us to settle into this truth that where we get our mental impressions from is the one mind. So as you simply clear away anything that's disturbing you, distracting you, and just go within. The idea that we've entertained today is that there's one mind, and that one mind lives within us, and that we have access to it. And that within that one mind, there's infinite potentiality and infinite possibility, and that everything is contained in that one mind. Therefore, what is known within me, it is known everywhere. Because God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere present. So that which is in me, within me, is also everywhere. So we simply know and trust and spend more time in the energetic of the one mind, simply allowing ourselves to pick up that which is for our highest and our best, that we might know our life as the life of God. And we allow it to simply be. And we sit in the silence. And we just be. We be with it. We just let it be from within.